welcome back to part 2 of the airship as we move forward with this lovely adventure of ours. Yeah, part 2. It's going to pick up exactly where part 1 left off, and yeah, on we go.
Hey, my name is Aaron, and welcome to Homebrew Terrain.
And there we have it. There is the ship so far. It's looking pretty decent. Not great, but it's, it's getting there. Shaping up quite nicely. And as you can see, I can take my little pirate dude here, and he's the guy that's up here on the back deck. We'll call it the aft deck or the poop deck, but most people are too, whatever to call poopy. So yeah, if the waves or rain or whatever you got going on is going too bad, he can always step back into this little alcove here that protects him from being shot at. It protects him from the wind and the weather. And then if you're playing this on a table and you're making this the ship, then it would protect him from the waves. If you put him up in the air and this is all part of the upper rigging, then it would protect him from lightning and other things like that. He could just step right back into there, and that's what he would do, a little alcove right there. So that's going to look like. And maybe put some lanterns hanging down on either side right here, so there's some lanterns to light up the deck. And then of course we're going to have the helm right here in a minute, and then we're going to have the front piece right here, and then of course the door. And then we're going to have some flare pieces protecting this or covering up this little section here. And that's what that's going to look like, yeah. And that's the ship so far. Cool? Alright, cute. So here I have the balcony. As you can see, all I did was take the back of the ship and I threw it onto some cardboard, and I traced the ship itself onto the thing, the cardboard, and then I pulled it up like this, and you see the little circles that I drew on there was from the base of my pirate guy. So you can put 2 on the very back and then 1 on the sides, and then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hot glue this bad boy right onto there, and that's going to be the balcony right there. And of course I'm going to run supports underneath it and make it look really cool, and that's how that's going to go. Alright, and then there'll be little ladders that run from the upside here to here, so that way you can kind of go out here and over and around the balcony and stuff. And you kind of move all over the ship, and it makes the whole ship much more of a usable platform. And yes, it goes over the whole 9 inches. I know, I'm a bad man. But if you look here, the whole thing is it's about 1 foot long, so it's about 12 inches long in total. If we were to go through the whole thing, maybe 13 inches. But Skaven likes the number 13, right? But this is going to be way more user-friendly as a piece of terrain, also as just as a usable piece in the game. It's just going to be fun, and you'll like it. So there. And if you're not, if it has to stick to that convention, don't put it on the balcony. Whatever. But I'm gonna, because I want it. So at this point here, you can see that what I've done here is all I did was I took the bracer piece. This is actually I just cut a piece of cardboard in the shape of a hook and glued it on the back. So what that is it's just designed to keep it kind of in line with the whole thing. So this is going to hook this way and that'll hook that way. And then I'll be able to run like a cross piece on here, and then run some rigging lines up to not only the crow's nest that I'm going to create here, but also the balloon piece that's going to go over the top. Because, this is going to be an airship. You can't not have the balloon, right? Now, what I'm going to do when I get my Caradron Overlords, I'm going to actually take the balloons off the top and kind of reposition them towards the bottom. What I want to do is take the gunship hauler and get 2 of those little balls and then put them on either side on the back, so it has kind of like a cool little thing. And I'm going to sleek that bad boy out quite a bit because it seems kind of clunky right now. But anyway, so this is the basic design. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually add more of these bracers like this, and make smaller. I'll have a big hooks on the side here and here, just like the one on the back here. But I'm going to have little ones on the side here that kind of stick up on spikes. And then I'll run a balcony piece around the outside here and here, so that it'll hang down a little bit, so that way it just looks cleaner and better, kind of like I do on my my tower pieces and whatever. But yeah, so that's the boat right there, and have a good look at it. And then so if you have your little pirate duders, hanging out here, being all rawr, piratey, there you go. And the cool part is that if you want to run this kind of a campaign where you have a bunch of pirates, now if you want to make this like a wave ship or a water ship, It's right here. Again, all you need to do is you can just add a little bit of a wall piece here, which I'm going to do, and then a ladder right there. So it's gonna hook up around here, and it's gonna be all kind of coolio, and yeah, it's gonna be a really cool piece of terrain that you can use, or you can actually use it as an active piece of whatever in the game. This could actually be a working unit in the game. Now, granted, this thing would be on a base to kind of give you an idea of how big it is or how small it is. We have Lawrence the murder cow here. This is Lawrence. Hi, Lawrence. He likes poetry and other stuff. You know, he's a real happy dude. He just doesn't like spinach. That's the cream spinach face that he's making. Oh, yuck. So anyway, so if you put the Lawrence the murder cow next to this thing here, he doesn't fit anywhere on here really very well. So as you can see, this is kind of where we're at with it. It's a 13-inch long boat without this tab piece here. This actually adds another couple inches. Sorry, keep adding more stuff to it. Anyway, so ultimately that's what it looks like. Lawrence the murder cow would have a real hard time being on here. But other than that, it looks pretty good. And yeah, so it looks like it actually can be usable now rather than just a little skiff. It could actually be a little gun hauler or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, you can do that. And so then I'm going to have, like I said, a little door here, there's a piece here, a helm here, little bits and pieces and doodads and hoo-has there and around. So you'll see that as I go, and we'll add all that stuff on there, and you can take a look at it and see when I'm done. Okay, so here you can see I'm making the crow's nest. All I did was cut out a strip of cardboard and, you know, cut the circles out, and then I cut out a circle piece using my protractor or compass thingy, and I'm just going to stick that on here. And what I did was I actually put this guy on here, and I just made sure that it was high enough that he could look over the side, kind of thing. Like, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, your little duder there can see over the side of the railing. So you put it right about there, and that's where it's going to glue. And I've got a little track that I can see right there. I actually folded it so that I can see where I'm going to put the glue, and I'm just going to glue it around until it matches. This is obviously too long of a strip, I think, I hope. And then we're just going to go ahead and cut off what we're not going to use. So I'm going to take my hot glue gun here and just throw some hot glue in like that, and get a nice anchor going. Go like this, and then just get a nice anchor going like that. And then once that cools enough, I will use that to finish wrapping around the outside of this bad boy. And then there we go. Then the crow's nest will be on its way to being done. So here we have so here we have it, the crow's nest. I might add a little more details to it, just like little pieces coming up off of here, like, you know, little triangular bits sticking up, you know, maybe some sawtooth pieces coming out, you know, just to make it look a little more dark elf-y, I should say, or drow, or Mikhailith, or whatever they're called now. So then notice that I left the back open here, and I just wrapped the pieces around it. I'm just going to glue this bad boy right here on top of that spike, like this, and it'll sit right up on top of there like that. Yay! And again, depending on how much time you have to do this, like for instance, if this is something that's got to get done for a tournament, or something that's got to get done right away, you're going to want to just put in the minimum here and just do the very basics and get it done and get it painted. But if you're like me, then it doesn't make any difference, and you can spend as much time as you want making it look awesome. Okay, so here's the state of the skyboat so far. Anyway, so if you look at it here, I got the back end completely done where I just added the trim. I glued this onto the top here so you can see, you know, I just literally glued it on there. And so then I'm going to put a ladder going up to here, so then there'll be this. I may have some spikes and stuff come on. Definitely going to have spikes coming off of here, but I may have something coming, kind of creating like a little gazebo on the top here, but more dark elfish. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a spine to the front. Now what I did was I took a cereal box and I literally cut out the long tab in the middle, so like, you know how it folds. So I cut out this part here, and then I folded it in half, and we're just cut little dags out of it. And then that will allow you to put it on the boat like this, and then bend it up, and glue it in place. And that'll clean up the front end of this bad boy pretty nicely. And it allows you to put some spiky things on here. I'm probably going to go through and like cut some spikes out of these pieces here, so it'll look even more spiky and spiny and, you know, just very dark elfish. And I want this to kind of stick up like this and flare out at the top so that it's kind of got that nastiness to it. And that's what I'm doing there. And so I'm going to glue this on, and then you'll see that in just a minute. Knocking stuff around. So here's the state of the boat so far. Pulling it back so you can see a little better. I added the front spine and the spike here, and I've added the fluor. All I did was trace the line of the boat right here, and then so I knew what was functional, and then I just added a bunch of wavy lines and spiky bits. And then I hooked this bad boy right here so that it kind of acts like a, you know, an area for them to hold on to, or, you know, get skewered by when they're doing boarding actions or whatever. And so then I'm going to run that same kind of fluor around this outside here, and I'll do some really cool design work, you know, in here. And anywhere that there's an open spot, then of course there's going to be portal windows, you know, along in here, and then a couple beautiful window-ish things back here. You know, a door here, and some stuff here, and then the helm, and then the stuff and the stairs and things. And again, everything I do now is all just, you know, fluor and stuff. Now this is just the cereal box, so it can get a little flimsy and stuff. So what you do is you take a little bit of Elmer's glue and you put it on your fingers and you just smear it all over this. You just run some Elmer's glue over the top of the stuff, and this will get nice and stiff and really hard, and you can actually make it work really well. So this is the state of the boat right now. And I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done adding more of the fluor. Okay, so I'm making the doors and the windows in the back here. So what I've done is I've literally just cut it out, and remember there's a big hole in the bottom still. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue a piece back here, and then also with the windows, so that it kind of gives it a three-dimensional look. But they'll all be closed and shuttered and stuff, because I don't want to go through the hassle of all. And what you can do, and this is something I've done in buildings in the past, and I'll continue to do in buildings and things in the future, is that I will I put cellophane, or like, you know, when you get the plastic wrap that comes on your little box sets, you cut the plastic wrap off and you glue that across the windows, and then you drop some watered down paint on it, and it kind of runs to the edges, and it doesn't, so it's clear in the middle, but it's kind of got this kind of weird sort of. It's cool, and it's a nice effect, but you know what, on this little thing right here, it's no one's going to notice, and so, I mean, if you really wanted to get crazy on the cheese whiz, you could actually, like, put LEDs in here and have, like, lights in behind, and no one's doing that. Anyway, so I'm just going to block it up on the backside so, like, he's got the shutters closed, and then, and the door is going to be closed also. I'm just going to use this as a template, the door piece that I just cut out. I'm just going to use this as a template this is the door piece that I cut out, and I'm going to do it bigger. So I'll put this on a piece of cardboard and make it bigger, and then cut that out, and then just glue it to the back side. And then, but I'm going to add some details to it to make it look all door-like. And then on the outside right here, I'm going to put a little door frame right here. And the same thing with the windows. I'll put some portal window frames here and here. And that'll be pretty cool looking. And I'm going to do the same thing along here as well, and along here, and then probably up into here and things like that. So yeah, that'll be cool. So here's the door that I created for the boat. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this bad boy on. All I did was take the cereal box and cut it into strips and make the wood out of it. It's actually almost double the size that it needs to be, so that you're only going to see the part where the door that's covered in the cereal box stuff. Anyway, I cut a couple of strips, then I used the hot glue to make rivets, so it looks like it's riveted on there. And then I'll paint that all up like metal, and the rest of it will look like wood, except for the handle, which will also be metal. Anyway, that's what the door looks like, and there you go. You can get a good look at it. Ooh, looks like a door. Ooh. And now I'm going to glue it in place from behind, so you'll see what it looks like in just a minute. So there you have it. There's the door there in the background. You can see that. So I'm going to get a little closer here. Don't be shy. So that's what the door looks like. It's really easy to do. Again, all just cardboard. And again, if you take your little pirate dude and stick him in there, that looks legit. You know what I mean? So it looks like you could actually go in there and do some stuff in the captain's quarters. Or, you know, it's the down below or the hold, or, you know, whatever you want it to be. And so there you go. That's what I'm going to do there. And then I'm going to put some more stuff here in the windows. If I can find them here. That's not window. Oh, windows. Hey, windows. Anyway, so I'll put some pieces in there, and then I'll do the frames on the outside and see what that looks like. It'll be pretty awesome. You love it. All right, cool. Bye.
Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the decking planks. I'm going to basically just put this stuff down here. This is just a cereal box that I cut into strips, and then I cut them up into these little sections. I'm just going to glue them down onto here in lengths, so it looks like it's decking. And I'll do that on all 3 of these platforms here. Then I'm going to build up a little thing here to make this come out so that I can put some stuff there. But I'll deal with that in a little bit. So yeah, now what we're going to do is I'm just going to take the hot glue and do the tedious task of, you know, letting strips across here and then putting down all the little pieces, hand cut one at a time. Here we go. So here you see the deck, the first deck there, the main deck is finished. You'll notice that the last 3 strips are all solid, so they don't look like they're broken up. So like I cut all of them into strips, and then I cut each strip into 3 pieces because it just made the planking look like it was better, and you know, like actual planking. And then I took my X-Acto knife and scratched it all up, so that gives it kind of a wood grain look. The last 3, however, aren't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use the X-Acto knife to cut them into the planking like this. So if you look at the planking, the plank that is next to the last 3 also is cut into 3 even strips, but you'll notice that I did that one with an X-Acto knife. I'm going to do the same thing with the other ones. The reason I did that is because those 3 plankings, the ones on the end there, had to be exactly cut perfectly. They couldn't be sloppy like these ones could be. Now that I've got this deck done here, it frees me up to do a little bit more with what's going on this upper deck here. I may even put an observation deck slightly above it, like a rain catch or an awning above the door and the windows. So let me finish the windows there, and then also if I can throw an awning over that. It's pretty easy to do. So yeah, I'm going to also finish up these guys here. Yay. So to do the awning above or like an observation deck, which would basically just kind of come out just a little bit here. I don't want it to come over too much, and the reason for that is because, again, you know, you got your models on here. You want to be able to move them around, and if I've got a big, huge piece of cardboard sitting over the top of this, it's going to be hard to get your hands in and out of here, especially me because I got the gribby meat hooks. But you know, you can always tip it and stuff, but who wants to do that? You'll also see that they stay a lot better on the decking now that the planking is put in place. That's because there's a lot of hot glue in here. Keeps it from running around. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take the cereal box. And yes, I like checks. And I'm going to glue this right in here. Actually, I'm going to create a template right in here to cover this piece here and to kind of roll around and come in front like that. And I'm going to do one for either side, and then that'll wrap around and give me kind of where I want the deck to be. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, so here's what I've done. I just took this, again, cereal box, and I just slid it into here where the little triangle piece is here. And you can see here that I drew the triangle, so this is the part that's going to be glued in place. But this is going to stick up above it like a railing. I'm going to put a little hook like this, and then it's going to come around this one piece here. And it's going to basically wrap around the front. And I'm going to do that on both sides and meet that in the middle. And that'll show me where I want to put the decking right here. So this decking right here is going to come out just a little bit. And because I'm using the cereal box, I can kind of adjust it a little bit. And then once I get this all cut out the way I want it to, I'm going to put it on a big, huge slab of cardboard. And I'll just glue this right onto the cardboard and then cut it out. So I'm going to do that right now. So what I'm going to do here, though, before I get too crazy on this cheese whiz, I'm going to actually draw it out. So then this piece here will come like, let's see, it'll be like this. Yes, yes. And then we're going to do a little doodle. So what I like to do is I like to just kind of draw like an organic shape. Knowing that now that I know where I want everything to be, and then I like to put like hooks on it because dark elves, and like you just spike it like this, like waves. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like that, and then this piece would come down like maybe like this. So this spike here would go there, and then this spike here would go there, and that all kind of works together. So it'll look something like this. Now I'm going to cut this out and see how it actually works on the boat. So I'm kind of creating a template, if you will. And I don't want to waste any of that because I'm going to come back and use that for the other one. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I can always trim it up and stuff later if I want to. See, I leave it like that. I kind of like that. I like that big spike on the unit. What's going to happen though is that is going to be right like this. So you're going to put this right here. See that? Like that? Yeah. And then this piece will wrap around here like that. See what I'm saying? Are you seeing what I'm saying? Yes. Very nice. And that actually works out quite nicely. I like it, in fact, quite a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate this for this side over here. Ba-doom, like this. And ba-doom, like that. And then I'll have that ready to rock and roll. And then when I glue these guys in place, it'll actually set up a little observation deck that I can glue right into here, which will actually go quite nicely above there. And it'll also give me an extra space to put in the helm that I'm going to create in just a moment. Here you have it. This is the front balcony piece that you're going to see going around to create the observation deck. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just, I need this to be obviously much more robust than it is, so I'm going to glue this onto a piece of cardboard, cut that cardboard off, and then literally just cut it out and glue it onto the boat. So here it is all cut out and ready to rock and roll. But before we get jiggy with bending and shaping and putting this on the boat, because I glued it onto this lovely piece of cardboard here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lovely Elmers and I'm going to, these are the spiky bits on the end here, and the best thing to do is just to run some Elmer's glue along here like this. And it's okay if you just make a slorpity gloopity mess, because hey, that's what we like to do here in homebrew terrain. And literally just take your finger and just kind of squeeze it together up here on the top and run it like you're painting it across the tops of these spiky bits. And the reason you do that is because once this dries, the spiky bits will stay spiky and pointy for many, many years to come, rather than being floppily and flimsily. And when you hit them with models and when you do all the stuff that you're going to do with them, this is actually going to remain pretty stiff and pretty cool. And if you don't do this, then eventually these all get frizzy and frayy and stuff. It also helps when you're painting too, because cardboard again is very thirsty. So when you throw a little bit of Elmer's glue on there, it's pretty amazing how quickly it dries and how quickly the cardboard soaks it right up. In fact, with my Elmer's glue, I don't know if you've noticed, it's kind of more of a Mod Podge. I use the extra strong stuff. I don't use the school glue because that stuff is crap. It just doesn't work. And then, so then I use the extra strong formula and I mix it down with a little bit of water so that it gets really absorbent into the materials that I'm putting it on. That's just like a Mod Podge tip that you can use. It's not exactly Mod Podge, but you know, it's a little thicker than that, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so now that I've got it all kind of sticky and gooey and glued into place, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue it to the boat, and that'll show me exactly how and big and whatever I'm going to need to do for the observation deck that I'm going to build. Then I'm going to use this piece of cereal box here to cut strips and then just make the decking, and then I'm going to put the decking in place after I've got it all rocked and ready to go. So here you can see I added the balcony to the boat, and there it is right there. And then of course there's the decking that I put in place. I haven't done the cut work to it yet because the glue is still a little bit fresh. I actually used Elmer's glue to glue those down with instead of hot glue. That'll actually work out a little bit better in this particular case. But what this piece right underneath here, what you're seeing is there was the bulkhead piece that we had used earlier. If you can see this piece right here, it actually ended up being perfect for this piece right in here. So then I could just stick that on there and glue it in place. And so there I've got a little observation deck ready to rock and roll. And it adds like a little bit of a cover as well for the underneath. Like so, you have your little duder here, you know, and it's raining or miserable. You can just kind of climb up underneath here and be like, yeah, I don't want to stand in the rain, you know, yay. And then of course, being up here on the observation deck, he can be like, hey, check it out, I can see stuff. But then of course, if you really wanted to, he could be up here in the crow's nest and be like, hey, check out me and my badness.
So anyway, yeah, that's where we're in. And then now I'm actually gonna go ahead and finish the rest of the decking, and then do the decking on the back here, as well as add the ladder to the back because it's really hard to get up there if you don't have a ladder. And yeah, we're getting pretty close here. Then I'm gonna add, of course, the details to the windows and the trim along there. And then eventually, of course, we have to add the bottom and the base. And that's going to be a whole nother dealio because it's going to be a big piece that comes out of the bottom here like this and it goes to a base so that it will actually fly. Yay for flying ship. Keeping the video up to date, here is a progress report. So here we see that I've added the rivets and the portal windows. All I did was just shove some cardboard behind the holes that I'd cut. And the reason I did that is because it'll give it a really cool three-dimensional look. And I just used the hot glue just straight up to do the rivets. Same as the door. So if you look at the door here, that's all just rivets on the door. And then of course the decking that I'm working on. So all I'm doing here again is just laying the cereal box in strips, and then I use the X-Acto knife to cut the board planks and then scratch in the wood texture. On the top here, I've just added the this is just for tangerine oranges. It's just a mesh that they have on there. I just throw some glue on there and call that good. And when I'm done, what you do is you paint that black, and then you dry brush it silver, and it has this really cool metal look to it. And then we're good with that. And that's kind of the state of it right now. Seems like I've done so much more because it takes forever to do the planking on this thing. But I'm almost there. Almost there. Anyway, so yeah, this is the boat as it states right now. And there we have it. Same on the other side. That's exactly what I did. Yay. And I'm gonna add these portal windows on here. I can get the boat to do it. Again, the whole. There we go. So these windows right here are going to have portals just like this one here. Probably not as many rivets though, just because that's tiny. And then I'm kind of in a quandary here about how I'm going to. Yeah, I added the little ladder pieces here, and then I'll probably add a couple more. I'm actually. Do I put the balloon above the boat? You know, because already pretty tall. So adding a balloon, and it kind of negates the reason for having a crow's nest. But I'm thinking that what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it the kind of like, see how I have this piece here holding this up. And if you look at the Eldar Webway portal, I'll probably do something like that where I'll add the portal thing that I created off the side of the boat right here, where the square is, have it come out to the sides on either side. And then I'll put the balloons on that along with the engine pieces, so that it looks like it's being floated up, you know, so the boat would kind of like hang in the sky, probably like this, and then it would fly around like that. And that'll be really cool. And then I'll add the base. So the reason I haven't put this together yet is because if I was going to have this being on the desk, like this is a water boat, you know, like that, then you just make sure that this was a flat piece here, and then just add a flat piece on here, and then you'd be good to go. But since this bad boy is going to be flying, and there's going to be a lot of weight on this boat, so what I want to do is I want to take it so that I have the base piece, and you're the base right now. So there's going to be a base piece that comes up. See my finger? Hi, finger. Anyway, it's going to come up into the back of the boat. It's going to go through the hull, and it's going to glue up. And I can't get the light onto it here. And it's going to glue up right here onto the back of the door, so right there. So if you see what that is, and it's going to support the whole model based on that. And then I'll probably put some bracers and supports on the inside here, so you won't see them as well on the inside. So that'll all be internally in the boat, holding it up onto this really cool, spindly-looking piece that'll hold it up. It probably won't be spindly-looking at all. It'll probably be very big and thick. It'll look a lot like the piece that's holding up the crow's nest. It'll just be on a much bigger scale. And then, boom, that'll just sit on a big base that I created out of cardboard as well. And that'll be a multi-stack piece of cardboard. But we'll get to the base and the rigging when we get there. But so far, this is the state of it. Now, I only have 4,325 more strips to go. Okay, it doesn't make fun. So I'm building the helm right now, and what I'm doing is I'm making a little tiny square piece that I'm going to mount it on.
And I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm using this dude right here as a measuring device to how tall I want it to be. I'm going to make a little four poster, basically make a little post right here. I'm going to cap the top, and I'm going to cut out the wheel. I'm going to draw the wheel in this stuff here from the cereal box first. The reason I'm going to do that is because it'll be easier, and maybe I'll transfer it to cardboard, maybe not, depending on how intricate it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of little stuff. I'm definitely going to be using the X-Acto knife on this one. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that all designed into pieces, and then I'll show you what they look like before I glue them all together. Okay, so I got this little guy cut out here. That's the base that it's going to go on. And then I cut out this little strip of paper here, or this from the cereal box. And it is a 1-inch strip by, so it's 1 inch tall by a little under an inch. It's like an inch in some numbers or whatever. Yeah, about that. Anyway, the important part about this one here is you bust it into 4 segments, so you can basically fold it into a little pillar. I can't do it one-handed though. And then there's a tab on the end that I created. I don't know if you can see it really well, but it's a tab, and it's going to fold into the last one there and glue in place, and that'll just hot glue right there, and that'll be the base that the helm sits on. So I'm going to get that all glued up, and I'll show you that. Okay, so as you can see right here, what I've done is I made that little post like I said I was going to do. It's all hot glued in place, and then all I did was take the cereal box and I cut out a circle, and I glued it to the box on the other side so that there was 2 of them together, so it's a little thicker. And then I did the same thing, and I made strips, and then I just glued them crosswise. I glued one on there, and then I cut the other one in half, and I glued that one on there too. And then just made a little circle and glued it on there. So I mean, just layers of circles and strips, it's not a big deal. What I'm going to do now, it's off camera, there we go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually add more of these strips here. I'm going to add one, in every direction, so it'll be like a chaos star, but hey, who thought of that? Then I'm going to go ahead and glue that bad monster onto here, and then that'll be the helm. I'm going to take a little piece of cardboard right here, and I'm going to actually add a little disc right here to glue it onto, so it'll be a little separation. It'll look like it's a little cool thing there. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue it into the upper deck right here, and then it'll be good to go. And here we see it completely installed. That's what it looks like. I just glued a couple of pieces together there, and we're good to go. So now the helm is in place. Yay! Kind of give you an idea by putting the duder there. So the Caradron Overlords have these balls of aether gold that makes their ships float. Whee, for floaty ships. And so we're going to install some floaty bits on this bad boy. Notice again, I haven't done the base yet because I'm still waiting to see the weight distribution when this thing's completely done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to design the floaty bits. To make the floaty bits, what we're going to do here is we're going to use this cereal box, this X-Acto knife because I can't find my scissors for whatever reason, this compass right here, and this protractor right here. And the ruler, of course, for measuring bits. And coffee, because reasons. Most important tool. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is open up the cereal box. No prize, what? Jeez. Anyway. Just strip it along the side here. Open up the bottom. Obviously this is a delicate procedure. Ta-da! And we're going to use all this in here. Setting this stuff aside is good because you're going to want to use it for other projects and or maybe even this one. In fact, because this is Dark Elves, just like the Dark Elf webway porthole, the trimmings of the cereal box make really excellent spiky bits. I guess that's what I was trying to say. Save the trimmings, you're going to use them to make spikes. Okay, there we go. Moving on. Can't get my brain engaged this morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. See? It's still here in my cup. Less so now. Okay. Okay, so now how do you take this and turn it and make it into a sphere? Not just like a tube or another tube. And no, actually there's a trick to this, okay? And I'm going to teach you that trick right now. Hey, future editing Aaron here. Interestingly enough, everything that I'm about to show you is pretty awesome, but I end up scrapping the entire thing simply because it doesn't work for the model that I'm creating. I don't go with the entire idea of running the stuff off the side. In fact, I ended up going vertical with it entirely because it was actually jacking up the entire measurements that I needed. Yeah. First thing we're going to do here is we're going to draw a straight line, because every good sphere starts with a straight line. It's true though. Doesn't make sense, but it's true. Okay. And we're gonna go like this. Which is why the ruler is most important. Okay, now the fun part here is we're gonna make a series of triangles. These triangles are going to wrap up into a semicircle shape, and then you glue them all together, and then they'll create half of a sphere. Then you create another one, and you get two halves of the sphere. Now, if I wanted to get crazy on the Cheese Whiz, I could create a diamond shape, and then turn that into a full sphere. But I find that working with half a sphere works better in the long run. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw another straight line. Straight line. It doesn't have to be perfect here. How do I want to do this? Let's just do it on the end. So I'm going to do one right here. I'm going to go in. So I want the semicircle to be centimeters? No, inches. Let's just stick with inches because that's what I've been using this whole time. Let's just make it a 1-inch thingy. So the base of each triangle is going to be 1 inch. Okay, following me? Good, good. You in the back? You got this? All right, we're good. So then you're going to go in a 1/2 inch, and you're going to make a line right here. Boom. And you're going to draw this straight up. Just straight up. Yep, that's what we're going to do. But we want to make sure this is as straight as we possibly can here. There we go. And then we're going to come to here, and we're going to say that this is going to be, how big do we want this thing to be? So looking at this boat here, okay, so they'll be roughly fist size. So yeah, that's not going to work. Something a little smaller than that, I think. So what we're going to do, yeah, I guess we'll make it, so from here to, I'll make it 3 inches. A 3-inch triangle. Why not? Why not? Okay, so there we go. And there's actually hard math to this. If you really want to get into the mathematics behind all this, you can actually go onto plenty of websites, and if I really wasn't as lazy as I am, I would leave links in the description below so that you could actually go and see these sites that will, well, 2 inches. I meant 2. We're going to do this 2 inches because reasons. So yeah, again, like I said, you could go into the into websites and look at the math behind all of this, and it would make a lot more sense if you were mathematically inclined. If you weren't geometrically mathematically inclined, then it would make less sense. Okay. So here you can see I have drawn a triangle. Woohoo! Okay, but the most important part of this triangle is going to be dags. Yeah, that's right, I said it, dags. Right here on the side, we're going to draw little triangles like this, just little ones. And they're important because as this thing folds, it's going to fold at the point of these dags, and these little dags right here are going to glue into the triangle next to it. And if you don't have these dags, then there won't be anything with which to glue. And then you're going to be relying on the razor's edge of this stuff, and it's not going to do very good things to your fingers, and it's not going to do very good things to your life. So yeah, now the hard part of this is, see how I've drawn these dags here? The dags on the other side, because you're going to draw two dags, need to kind of line up. Oh, yes they do. Because if they don't line up right, then it won't fold right, and things won't be right, and life won't be good. And you'll be like, but you lied to me. You lied to me, Aaron. You said it would line up and it didn't. Yeah, because if you have like the middle of the dag on the fold of the other dag, so you should have something that looks like this. Yes, see all the little lines over here? Yeah. You're going to use that. That's where the dags go in between those lines. So, like this. And they don't have to be neat or pretty or good or right or anything. You just make sure that the dags line up on the other side. And if you get to a dag and you're like, oh, I drew that totally wrong, it's okay. Just cut one of your own. It doesn't make any difference. There we go, like that. So you should have something that looks like this. Are you looking at it? That's a good put the camera really well. So it should look like this. Yeah, so you drew the little dags on this side here. And then you drew the lines across where the dags meet. And then in between those spaces, you drew dags on this side. So they all line up. Isn't that pretty, Paul? Oh my goodness, that's just so beautiful. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to cut this monster out. But we're not going to cut it all the way out because it's going to actually meet with another triangle on this side here. But we are saying, I haven't drawn that triangle yet. Yes, you have. It's right here. We're just going to fold it over and use it as a template. And we're going to make sure we do that because you're going to draw 4 or 5 of these bad monsters, depending on how big we need this circle to be. Sometimes it works with 4, sometimes it works with 5. I'm not really sure why that is. Again, geometry, math, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to take now is I'm going to get my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to cut it out. You, cut that out! But I'm going to drink my coffee first. Because that's important. And no, I'm not threatened. This is one of those things here where you really want to make sure that your X-Acto knife is sharp and it looks, you know, it's doing its thing. Mine isn't. And these little dags on the side here don't have to be all that exciting. And they just have to line up with the ones on the other side. Now on this side, I'm going to cut these dags a lot more accurately than I did on the other side, because I don't want to jack up this space here. So if I cut carefully here and I pop it out, I can fold it over and use the whole thing as a template for the next triangle. That way all of my triangles will match, and they'll be even, and that is very important when you're making a sphere. If you're using a thicker piece of cardboard to do this, or polystyrene, oh wait, you can't do this with polystyrene. So yeah, in some cases, cardboard is a much more preferable application. If you're doing this, a thicker piece of cardboard, then you don't have to use these dags. The only reason I'm doing it is because this particular piece of cardboard is very thin. And the reason I'm making it very thin is because I need to keep the weight in. So there's a line right here. I cut that already. You're not supposed to cut that yet. That doesn't come till later, but I cut it already because I don't know what I was thinking. I don't have my coffee yet, leave me alone. Well, I mean, I kind of had my coffee, sort of. Still, leave me alone. Here we go. I cut it out. You're not supposed to cut it all the way out, but whatever. You can actually do it this way. It's no big deal. And so let me kind of give you an understanding of what's going to happen here by grabbing a tool that I don't have readily available on my desktop, because why would I do that? So you're going to take a pair of tweezers, you can use your fingers, whatever you want, and then you see how, you see that black line right there? You're going to take the dags and you're going to fold them down on that black line that you created for the actual triangle. So let's go ahead and do that. Just fold them down. I like to pinch them on the black line itself and then just bend the whole model backwards. As you can see, it's like like that, right? So we're going to do this on every single one of these triangles that we create. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here, now that we've got all the little dags bent down like that, right? What we're going to do now is we're going to literally just bend the thing like this, like that. And now, suddenly, it all starts to make a little bit more sense as you've got one triangle here, right? Like this. And the next triangle is going to go next to it, and then that one, and then that one, and then that one, and that one goes all the way around, right? Are you following me? You following me? Okay, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this as a template to draw the next one. This is why it has to be the exact same size as the first triangle. Because if you don't make it the same size as the first triangle, then you're going to have it going around as all different sizes and weirdness and hang on, right? Okay, so moving on to the next one. So you come down the line here, and this is why we didn't want to cut deeply into this part here, because we're going to put another triangle here, and then another one here, and down the page we're going to go. And then we're going to flip it onto this side here, and we'll do the same thing. But again, we're going to use the same triangle to make the bottom side. Otherwise, the bottom sphere will look different than the top sphere. So don't think, oh yeah, I made one triangle, I'll make a better one. No, you're going to use the same one all the time. Stop it. Stop thinking for yourself. Normally I tell people, you know, hey, whatever, it doesn't have to be perfect, blah, blah, blah. Well, in this case, it kind of does. You kind of want these triangles to be as perfect as you can get them. That way the sphere doesn't get all wonky or look weird or do some stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, we're going to add gribblies to this. We're gonna gribble it up so that it'll look all more caradron-y. The Caradron. I always thought they say Caradron. I thought it was the Caradron, like as in the Herodrum from the Diablo. But apparently it's Caradron, as in like a carriage drawn. That's yeah. Okay. See? Isn't that prettyful? Oh, it's just like Christmas. Okay. And, you know, it's important to remember here that if you do screw this up, it's okay. It's just a cereal box. Just make another one. Like, I'll just go ahead and get some more cereal. Besides, I'm going to have a prize at the bottom of that box. Choo. See, and this is where the dags are important, because when you put these together, you're going to glue those together like that. See? See? Like this. And if you don't have this to glue, than these little razor edges. You could try to glue them together. I mean, if you got hot glue and a lot of patience, you could probably pull it off. But the dags make it so much easier. In fact, one of the things that I like to do when I'm doing this kind of thing is I will literally use Elmer's glue first and just kind of get that sort of rigidness to it, which is really important actually when you're gluing these, because you can hot glue it and it'll be fine. But if you throw some Elmer's glue onto these little dags first, they get really stiff when they dry, and then that helps the overall structure. Looking at this right here, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do 6. I'm thinking, and that's the thing. If I actually could math, if I are mathed very well, I could actually calculate beforehand how many of these I was gonna need.
10. You're gonna need 10 for each side, so that means you're gonna need 20 total. Because for whatever reason, my brain wasn't working properly that day, maybe enough coffee or whatever. But you're gonna need 10 on each side. 5 and 5, 10. It's simple math. I don't know why I couldn't figure it out. Anyway, so yeah, you're gonna need 20 of these things to get a perfect sphere.
But I don't do math real well, so me ain't not doing no math no time. And so because of that, I just kind of make them until I'm like, oh, that works, and then they're done. But so now you're starting to see how this all comes together. Are you seeing it? You seeing it? You with me? Are we there? You in the back? You watching this? Okay, good. All right, so now I'm going to make a bunch more of these, and I'm not going to make you sit through me cutting them all out because, God, that's awful.
So that was a simple tutorial on how to make a sphere out of a single sheet of paper. I'm going to end up needing 10, however. 10 of those little triangles with all the little dags and folded up. You'll need 10 of them. Unfortunately, however, again, like I said, they weren't really suited for what I wanted to do. So I went an entirely different road and started engineering things on my own. So that's what happened. And this concludes part 2 of my video series on the boat. We're going to be moving on to part 3. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video here on Homebrew Terrain. And there it goes. Well, there's that. Okay, let's try that again. That was a little embarrassing. That'll make it a little easier. Alrighty. And let's raise this up a bit. Yeah, that happened.